Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to correct a problem with your Pontiac Vibe. Mine is a 2006. I believe this works for a number of years. I think I read somewhere 2005 through 2014 this has been a problem. Also, if you have a Toyota Matrix, the Vibe is just a clone of the Matrix, so I assume they also have the same issue. But the issue that I was having is you're hearing this little clunking noise coming from inside the dash. So, tell me if this sounds familiar to you. Okay, you hear that little clunking noise? I assume that's why you're watching this video, is because you've heard the same thing coming somewhere from down in the dash here. Now, let me just give you the quick way to stop that from happening is go right over here to your dash and hit the recirc button. Ta-da! Problem solved. Well, not really solved, but problem avoided. So as long as you don't mind going with recirc 100% of the time, then you're good. You fixed the problem. The problem is actually the AC blend door actuator. And what happens is when you press that to move that door to allow outside air to come into the cabin, there we go, there's our little problem. Alright, let's go take a look inside and see what we need. What you're going to need to do this repair is real simple. A few simple tools. First of all, we have here a socket, either a 5.5 millimeter socket or a 7/32. Both will work. A 10 millimeter wrench, a Phillips head screwdriver. I'm using a little short one, but a long one will work. And here I'm using like a little sharp-ended probe tool. You could also use a very small flathead screwdriver. You'll see what we're going to use that for in a minute. And then, of course, your replacement door actuator. This one I got from Rock Auto. I think I paid about $18. That was the cheapest I found it anywhere. You could pay $45 or $50 for these, but I found one for $18 at Rock Auto. And this whole repair is going to take you about, well, this is a little ratchet. You might use that. And also some sort of a little light. It's kind of dark up in there, so you need a little bit of a light. And this repair will probably take you about 30 minutes. So let's get on with it. Move the glove box. And that actually is a fairly simple operation. We pull that open. What you see here is a little arm with a Phillips head screwdriver. So we have to remove that Phillips head screw. Do that real quick. Alright, with that screw out, you see that arm swings away. Now to remove the glove box, basically you have to push in. You have to pull in on the side, whoop, and there it went. Okay. Yours may require a little more coaxing, but it pretty much just comes on out. Alrighty. Now then, let's take a look at the problem here, and what we can see here is that little filter, that foam filter you see there, that's the actual back side of the blend door, and that's the problem. Let me turn on the key and you'll hear that. And you can kind of see there how it's moving. It's trying to do something and it's having a little trouble. Watch what happens when I hit the button to move it from recirc to outside air. That door is swinging away and problem solved. So like I said, I'm sorry, I turned it to recirc. So that's shutting off the outside air and it's allowing the air to recirculate. And that's, again, it's only on this one side that you're having the problem. So if you just want to do that, problem solved. Let me turn off the recirc. Here comes the door swinging back over this way. And here comes our problem again. All right, so our actuator, now this is tough. It's up in here. It's kind of hard to see this bad boy, but it's up here along the side, but on the left side, of our box here with the AC components. So right up in there is our actuator. We'll move some things out of the way to get a better view of that, but that's the part we have to remove. So let's get to it. Okay, the first thing that we're going to want to do is, you'll see there's a little support piece, a little piece of channel metal, and that's going to really, if you can move this out of the way, it is going to make this repair so much easier. Trust me on this. Take the time to move that out of your way. It's going to make it so much more easy to get to the actuator. So what you see here is that right here is the underside of a little bolt, and so on the top side there's a nut, and if we just remove that nut, take our 10mm wrench, remove that nut, and then also there's a little, you see right here, a little metal tab, and we'll bend that down out of the way, and this piece of metal will then we'll be able to bend that down and kind of push it to the side, which again will make this a whole lot easier. I'm going to go ahead and put the phone down because it takes two hands to remove that nut. So here I am working on our little nut. You notice this is a kind of a short wrench, and that's helpful in this case because it's a little bit of a tight spot. So we get our wrench up here and get it on this nut. Again, it's a 10mm wrench, and that on there. Good grip. Get it to turn a couple times, and then you can probably take it the rest of the way by hand if you just push up on the bar. I'm pushing up on that little metal bar, and that relieves the pressure, and now I'm able to loosen and remove that little nut by hand. There it went. Drop down somewhere, I'll find that later. And that little metal tab, I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver here just to bend that a little bit. See how I'm bending that? And now this whole metal piece, I'm pulling that down, and I'm going to kind of push it over, just down and over. Now it's out of my way. To the actuator, and again here you can see now this little piece right here to the left of this whole AC body, there's your actuator, and you can see here there's a little wire going into this, and there's a little plug on the front side of that, and that is where on the inside over here on the driver's side of that plug is a little tab that has to be pulled away in order to get that plug out, to pull that plug out, and obviously we have to do that. So again, that's the next thing I'm going to do. I almost forgot to mention maybe one of the most important pieces of equipment you'll need. I have here a little padded kneeling pad. You buy these in the garden section, but very helpful because you're going to do this whole repair on your knees, so that saves some wear and tear on your knees, and it's a good position to do a repair from, because while you're on your knees, you might offer up a prayer here because you're going to need it. All right, so I'm using this little sharp tool here that I'm going to use to get up on the other side of that. Okay, let me stop this to reposition my light. Now I have removed this plug from my actuator. Again, there's the little tab on the side that you have to pry out, and some of these things honestly you do more by feel than by sight. You use your light to see where things are, and then you just get your fingers up there and you can kind of feel around and put, just like I said, it's a little something under that tab and pry it away. And now this is the difficult part of the repair, and that is on this actuator. Let's take a gander at our new actuator. So here's the new actuator, and it actually sets up there here's the plug, so it's going to set up there on the side of that AC body like this. And so what you see is we turn it over, there's a hole right here on the top and a hole right here on the bottom, and those are the holes where there's two little bolts that go into the body of that AC thing. That's what's holding this on. We have to remove those two bolts. Now this is where your 5.5 millimeter or your 7/32 socket comes in. That's the size of this little bolt here. The good thing is that it's screwed into plastic, so you probably can do this whole operation by hand, by just simply taking the socket in your fingers and getting it on that bolt and then turning it counterclockwise in order to loosen that screw. It's really hard to get a ratchet up there. I do have, I mentioned this earlier, this little small ratchet that I tried, but not very successfully. I think if at all possible, just use your fingers. So we're going to go up on the side of this, and again, there's no way you're going to be able to see this on the camera, and so you're kind of doing this by feel. That's why it's kind of good to have the new one. You kind of take a look and you say, okay, here's my plug, so let me orient myself. This is how this thing sets up there. So I got one on the top and one on the bottom, and then you just go up there with your fingers. And so I'm going to start that right now. There's my first little nut off. I took the top one first. That really is the most difficult one. That top one, it's a little tight up there against the underside of the dash. So I'll drop that into my little, I got a little magnetic tray here. Now let me go get that bottom one. And again, totally by feel, but I know what I'm looking for. I know basically where it is. There we go. I've got my nut or my socket on the bolt head, and I'm turning it. It's really more of a screw. It's a lag screw, not a bolt. Sorry about that, you guys, technical guys. But anyhow, there you go. So there's the bottom one, and it's out. And so, having taken both of those bolts out, we just reach up here and we pull to the left just a little bit. Let's see here. Pull this thing just a little to the left, and there's our faulty piece of equipment. And they're actually, I don't know if we can see it up in there, there's an arm that comes out. We might be able to see that just a little bit, maybe not. Yeah, there you go. There's a little arm that comes out, and that's what goes into this little plastic piece that sticks out from the inside of that. So now what we need to do is we need to take our brand new one, and what you want to do is look at these and make sure that there's a let me get this out in the light a little more. What you see is that there is an alignment. In this case, you see there's a on that little plastic piece there's a flat side, and so that's the position that little arm coming out is in. So we want our new one to match, and what we see there is our new one, it's kind of the flat sides are straight up and down, and over here on the old one they're side to side. So I'm going to try to straighten out, get the new one facing the same direction so it'll fit really nicely on the arm, and I won't have to finagle with that. Found is that you can't just turn this little knob by hand, or I tried putting a tool in there and it just didn't want to go, and I didn't want to force it, obviously. So what I did was I plugged it in. I just went ahead and got my little cord that's dangling there, and I plugged it into the bottom of my new one, and let it turn on its own until it was basically at the same angle. Now you can see these two, or maybe you can't see that, but anyhow, those flat sides are pointing in the same direction. So that's important, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to fit this thing up there, and once it's in the position it needs to be in, it won't slide onto that little rod sticking out. So I think I should be able to get it on now. Let's see. That what you see up there now, that is the new actuator. Just had to kind of wiggle a little bit. I could feel the little knob, the rod sticking out, and I was able to kind of wiggle it until it kind of slid right on there and went up close to the went right up to the AC body. And so now I'm going to attempt to find those holes on the top and the bottom with my screws and screw this back on. Got that done. I'll confess it was a little tougher getting those screws back in than it was taking them out. And that's owing in large part to the fact that it's middle of August here in Central Florida. So sweat became an issue as I was trying to hand tighten those. So now I've got the cord, and I will plug that back in. There's a nice little snap. So the cord's plugged back in. Next thing will be to go over here and get my little bar here that I had bent down out of the way. I'm going to get that and pull it back up and reattach that that nut on the top of there, that 10mm nut. Before I do all of that, let's see if we fix the problem. How about that? Let's see if we've actually fixed this bad boy. So, let me turn on the ignition. Turn it over. And I'm not hearing it. And it's not on recirc. Turn it on recirc. And let's see. Okay, well, that's not doing anything either. There goes my door, moving away. Okay, we are now on recirculation mode. Actually, I think I'm in fresh air mode. Nope, that's recirc. Okay, so it's in recirc. Turn off the recirc. And here it swings back over for fresh air. And it stops nicely, and we've lost the ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk noise. Success! Alright, so we put this, secure this little bar over here, put it all back together. Got my bar back in place, got the nut tightened down, got the little metal tab pushed back up, and now I think we just need to put the glove box back in. Now we'll put this back in, just kind of left side up in, the right side, it's there. I go down here where the hinges are, look, and I see those hinges, and I try to click those into place. Okay, and I just need to attach my little lever down here. Where did I put that screw? Here it is. Tighten that down with my Phillips head. Okay, job done. Noise gone. Old actuator into the trash. That's pretty much it. I said it'd take about 30 minutes, maybe it was more like 45, but hopefully this was very helpful to you. Thanks for watching.